This show, we pick a theme. Okay, so this month's theme is reader. It's writing and books. So today I'm going to be interviewing Jeddah super readers. Hi, she joined. Wait, do I have to invite her?
Yes.
So today I'm here to interview Sana from Jeddah Super Readers. So
Hello.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam. How are you?
I'm fine.
Thank you for having me over. I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah, and I'm really happy to be here. So, um, so I started my reading journey with Jeddah Super Readers. Walaikum salam, iframe. Um, I started my book reading journey with Jeddah Super Readers, and I also
Really?
with Jeddah Super Readers,
Yeah.
the
Tell
naughtiest
them.
girl.
Yeah.
So, I have a few questions. So,
Yes, of
tell us
course, right?
you and your blog.
Okay, first of all, I'm so honored that you mentioned it out here that you started your reading journey with my recommendations. I didn't know that. I thought you're a born reader because your love for reading is so obvious. So I'm very happy to have been a small part of your journey. So, about me, I'm the mother of a 10-year-old boy. My educational background is literature because I've been a bookworm since I was a little girl. I can't remember ever having any hobby bigger than reading. There were other things that I was interested in, but reading has been one thing that has stood by me forever. So, I was very young, just in middle school, I think, when I had decided that when I grow up, I want to be a writer and I want to study literature. So I did my undergrad, my master's, everything in literature, and I got into education, and I worked in the education field for more than 11 years. And reading has always been something that I have always encouraged all my students, all my colleagues, all the people around me, my friends, children, everyone to do.
Okay, nice. I like that. Oh, so I'm also the same of reading since I was like I think 8 or 9.
Okay, that's really good to know, mashallah.
Okay, so what gave you the thought to start this platform of Jeddah Super Readers?
So it actually started accidentally. A friend, so I used to work, but when I quit my job, I wanted to do something extra for Omar, my son, Omar, who now he's 10 years old. I think he was 5 years old at the time when I quit my job. And a friend of mine and we talked about the lack of having book and activity related clubs in Jeddah. There were a few, but accessibility was a little difficult and expensive and complicated. So initially, we started with this mom and me activity club for little children, where each month we would choose a book and we would have lots of activities before and after, all based on the theme of the book. And we included snacks that the children would make, again, theme based. So once there was a book called Going on a Bear Hunt. So we had a bear shaped cookie cutter, and the children made their own sandwiches with different dips. And once we did Cat in the Hat, so they made marshmallow and strawberry sticks, which looked like the Cat in the Hat's hat. So things like that. And it was supposed to be a voluntary club where each we wanted different mothers to participate in it and contribute to it each month, host it each month. It ended up just being the two of us, sharing the burden of the work. And then she moved back to the US. So I was not able to continue with it on my own, and it fell through. A few months later, I met a friend of mine who was associated with this nonprofit called Jeddah Reads, and she introduced me to a whole new platform of the reading culture in Jeddah. Now, I had started this Instagram page for the Mom and Me Club, but I sort of kept it alive, sometimes off and on. Sometimes it would be, I would abandon it for months, and sometimes I would be active again. But Jadda Reads gave me the opportunity to build the reading culture for children in Jeddah. And I initially started by curating a children's library, and we worked for Andalusia Children's Pediatric Kids Wellness Center. and we ran a book club for them for more than a year. Unfortunately, once the pandemic started, even after its end, it's almost at its end now, thankfully. We've not been able to go back to the book club, but I did continue operating my page as a way to motivate families and children to read, and to continue sharing book reviews, to motivate parents, to make reading more exciting as a family activity, not just to sit in one place and read a book. No, we want it to be like a whole family activity in which, it kind of becomes like a part of their childhood. That's what we try to do.
Okay. And thank you, Sheena. Well done, guys. Huge thanks for creating a platform for budding readers.
Thank you.
So, how do you build a healthy reading habit? For example, like your sister sees and she doesn't much.
All
So, how
right.
do you build a healthy reading habit?
All right. Well, since I'm being interviewed by a child, usually my tips are directed towards the parents. But you are, mashallah, you're an older sister to two younger ones, right? So you're sort of a role model, you and your mom, for your younger sister. So what I would always say is that it's, like I said, I want reading to be a family activity, not a personal activity, not something that you do on your own. Although I must say I don't like being interrupted when I'm reading, but you have to make it as something that everyone is doing together. And especially for the parents or the guardians or the older siblings, you first and foremost have to model it. Because for children, their biggest role models are their parents and their older siblings. And I know the older siblings hate it when your younger ones, are always after you, wanting to do the same thing, because I was that younger sibling, always after my brothers and my older cousins. But you don't realize the impact that you are having on your younger siblings and your younger cousins and your friends. So you have to model that behavior. Unless and until children don't see reading as being something that is cherished and enjoyed and having an impact in your life, they're not going to want to do it. You can force children to do something only for a short period of time, but that cannot be a long-term sustainable thing, right? Like, we take our children for activities, you have to play football or you have to do taekwondo. They'll do it for a bit, but they won't like it. And maybe 15 years, 20 years down the line, when they think back to their childhood, they will associate reading with bad memories, that this is something I was forced to do. So we don't want that to happen. We want them to see reading being a loved activity, a cherished activity. So, like I said, model behavior, let the children see that you are enjoying reading, and you can't expect them to ditch their screen time, their iPads, and their YouTube for a book unless you're doing the same thing. So, as parents, and again, older siblings, you have to first think back to how much time you're spending online on devices and how much time you're spending with a book, and how much quality time you're spending with the book. And if you are exposing them to some book, make sure it's a book that they're enjoying. So even if it's a Paw Patrol book or a Peppa Pig book, it's a stepping stone. There's nothing wrong with those books as well, right? And a lot of people say, oh, let them read the book first and then watch the movie. There's nothing wrong with watching the movie if that's what will make them read. So, like, I wanted my son Omar to fall in love with Harry Potter because I was in love with Harry Potter. And I know, Ishaal, you love Harry Potter as well. I know how much you love it. So it was initially, the books were a bit difficult for him to follow when I think he was 7 years old. So I tried attempting the first book with him a few times, but when it didn't work, then we started having movie nights, and then he started watching the movies. And then when he started watching the movie, he asked me a lot of questions about it. And I told him that, you know what, a lot of questions are not answered in the movie. So you have to read the book to get the answers to all those questions. And so he first watched all the movies and then he read all the books. In fact, he watched some of the movies twice or thrice. So there's nothing wrong. People always have this debate, book versus movie, which is better, which should be done first. It doesn't matter which is better. It doesn't matter what should be done first, as long as you're reading.
Okay, I actually started Harry Potter because one of my friends came over and they read Harry Potter, so they gave me the first book. I never
Okay.
there was a movie, and thank you.
Okay.
The reading hat is saying, "Love your page, Jeddah Super
Lots of
Reader."
lovely comments coming.
Yes, absolutely love your reading tips always,
Thank you.
and
Oh,
I
I have some
big
other tips
yes.
as well. Once you respond to the messages, I'll give you a couple of other tips.
Okay, Ifrim says I started reading because of you.
Thank you. That means a lot. She's a big reader as well, so that means a lot.
Okay, so
So I have a couple of other tips if there's time.
yeah.
Okay, so I also want to say that, like I said, you have to show it as a thing which is full of love and compassion, right? So make it like a very quality time affair in the family. And you can supplement it not just with the movies, but also with lots of activities. Like I gave the example of, involving food into it, right? Making a cookie class. If you're reading a Paw Patrol book, you can make paw-shaped cookies. And if you want, I can inbox you how to do that. It's super easy. So, if you're reading Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, you can have a chocolate making class with your friends, right? And you can do art activities, you can do craft work. There are so many different ways where reading does not just have to be about reading the book. You can do so much more with it. And if the children don't like one type of book, switch to another type, another genre. If they don't like Harry Potter, maybe they like nonfiction, maybe they like sport-based books, right? So you don't have to stick to any one particular kind of book, right? And another way to show them how reading is truly effective, like we'll say reading is good for you, you have to read, it's important to read. Children don't listen, they need to see tangible results. So another way of doing this is, for example, what I notice in my son is that on days that he reads well and he reads good books, his language improves. Like during the time that he used to read Enid Blyton books, and Enid Blyton are very old books, right? They were written, what, 60, 70 years ago. So the language is different. His language would change as well. And his writing would be inspired by the books that he read. And I would show his schoolwork to him, his creative writing assignments to him. And I would show him that see, the days that you're reading this book, see the quality of your writing. And then there would be times when for weeks on end he would not read, and I would tell him that, see, your imagination has slowed down, your creativity has slowed down. So you can point out to your children the benefits of reading within their personality.
Yeah, that's an amazing tip. Let's tag Jada. Thank you. Loved your idea of making chocolate after reading Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. Okay, so what is your favorite category of books, like fantasy or
I like historical fiction a lot. Like I love Harry Potter too, and I love the Magic Faraway Tree. So I do like fantasy books in children, but I like historical fiction because I like history. So I like things which are based on real events.
I like both. I can't choose.
Yeah, I like everything. True. That's true.
Um, do you have any plans of writing your own book in the future?
Yeah, it's actually my childhood dream to be a published writer. And when I was young, I think your age, and I read The Naughtiest Girl collection, I actually wrote a book based on The Naughtiest Girl collection. And then when I was a teenager as well, there's this series of books called Sweet Dreams. You should not read them right now, not before you're 16 or 17. But when I read those, I wrote a couple of books inspired by those. And then I got into high school and I got involved in my studies. And, then I started working and I got married and life took over. But the dream is to still write a book, a children's book. And I have a few ideas in my mind. I just don't know how to get to it. Inshallah, I hope in a few years you might see something. I'm inspired by a lot of great writers, a lot of self published writers who have approached me in the last couple of years. And I keep telling them that they're inspiring me. I just hope that it can turn into something concrete soon.
Inshallah, if you write a book, I hope I'm the first person to get it.
I hope you write a book and you inspire me.
Oh, I am writing one.
All right. That's great. I would love to see it. I would love to see it published.
Yes, inshallah. Uh, so do you have any suggestions for young readers like me?
Okay, young readers like you, don't give up. Just continue reading. If you, if you're getting bored with one kind of book, or you think that you're done with reading, you can give yourself a break. That's all right. It's always good to take breaks. But keep at it. Change your genre. Switch over to something else. You can read a comic book. That's okay, as long as you promise yourself to come back to a proper book later, right? Switch to, if you're getting bored of, for example, like I said, historical fiction. If you're getting bored of that, switch to fantasy, or switch to like something investigative, or a mystery novel or something like that. So just don't stick to one thing. Explore. There are so many options out there, and even if you do like a particular genre, it's all right to move away from it and explore different genres. If you start reading a different kind of book and you don't like it, it's okay. You can abandon it. There's nothing wrong with abandoning. Like Agatha Christie, such a popular writer. I somehow never got into her. I was more into Nancy Drew and Hardy Boys, and that was okay. I know people who are obsessed with Agatha Christie, and so many people tried to get me into it. I never got into it, and that's all right. But don't give up trying. Do explore. There is so much variety out there. You need to expose yourself to all sorts of books in all sorts of genres, and novels and poetic books, and graphic novels. That's all right. And one more thing I would like to say is, involve your friends in your reading journey. All right. If you meet up frequently, if you have play dates frequently, turn them into bookish play dates. So, have like Harry Potter reenactments, or like I said, you can convert, when you get together, be inspired by Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and make a recipe out of it. Discuss your books with your friends. You don't need to join. Mothers often ask me, do you know of any reading club, any book club? Can you start a book club? You kids can start book clubs by yourself. It doesn't need to be something formal and organized. You can just get together with your friends and discuss. Not just, it doesn't even necessarily need to be a particular book. You can all choose a genre. For example, mythology, or fantasy, right? And three of your friends have gotten together. One of you could be reading Harry Potter, the other one could be reading Percy Jackson, the third could be reading Lord of the Rings. And then you could discuss, oh, what's common? Oh, my series is cooler because it's this, and my series is cooler than yours, and I wish my book had these elements that your book has. So discuss it with your friends. Keep the conversation of books open.
Yeah, it's nice. So thank you for having you here. I loved this talk because I love books.
I loved your questions. Thank you so much for having me over. I loved answering all your questions. It made me think a lot as well.
Yeah, I like thinking.
Yeah, that's really good to know. Keep reading and you'll think more.
Inshallah. So, this was the last episode of the series, 15 Minutes of Wisdom with eshaal. Sorry. This is the last episode of 15 Minutes of Wisdom with eshaal. So we have a lot of new things planned in Ramadan, so stay tuned for that too. And I hope you enjoyed the session, and this session was very, very fun.
Thank you so much, eshaal.
And this will also help me with trying to get my little sister to read.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're, like I said, you're her role model. She will look up to you. She will want to copy everything that you do. So if you read in front of her, she will want to read with you. So always remember that you are your sister's role model.
Thank you. Very interesting session.
Thank you for all the lovely comments, everybody. It means a lot. Thank you for joining.
Enjoyed the conversation. Thank you. Okay, so this is the end. Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Wa alaikum assalam.